There was a revolution under the hood of the fourth Ford Focus. All EcoBoosts have become 3-cylinder. Yes, except for the engine on the standing Focus Street, the 1-liter EcoBoost engines, which the 4th generation Focus received, please with some improvements. To begin with, we note that the basis, namely the cylinder block and crankshaft, is the same as that of the 1st generation engine. Let us remember that the cylinder block is cast iron. However, the timing belt drowning in oil is finally a thing of the past. Ford engineers listened to all the experts and began using the chain 2,207,979 in these engines. True, they still left one strap 2,235,490 immersed in oil. It drives a variable displacement oil pump. A mechanism for shutting off one of the cylinders has settled in the cylinder head. The oil filling volume is 4.6 liters. A mild hybrid version has also appeared, in a very compromised design. Instead of a conventional generator, a hefty starter generator is used, which is connected to the crankshaft pulley by a serpentine belt 2,319,646 of the attachment. It is powered by a small battery. They have a separate 48-volt electrical system. In general, this electric motor helps the crankshaft rotate and recovers energy when coasting. 1.5 EcoBoost 150 horsepower YZDA, 1.5 EcoBoost 182 horsepower YLDA. The second petrol engine for the Focus 4 is also a 3-cylinder. This engine has an aluminum cylinder block and a timing chain drive. The cylinder head also has a system for shutting off one of the 3 cylinders. The system is the same as in 1-liter engines, with conventional camshafts, but the rockers of all 4 valves of the first cylinder are equipped with a mechanism for opening them. And the oil pump with 2 stages of performance is driven from the balancer shaft, which in turn is connected to the crankshaft by a gear transmission. Oil filling volume is 5.25 liters. We diligently and for a long time searched for information about the reliability of these new EcoBoosts and got the impression that so far everything is in order with them. The updated engine, unlike its predecessor, does not kill itself due to oil contamination with lint and dust from the timing belt. The chain really turned out to be the right choice. The 1.5-liter EcoBoost, by the way, is even a little more popular in Europe than its younger brother. It's just that the 1.0 EcoBoost engine is associated with something suddenly dying. By the way, the 1.5-liter EcoBoost also received more rational cuts at the very top of the block between the cylinders, so it was not noticed to blow out the cylinder head gasket. Even the timing chains are not stretching yet. By the way, you can only buy them from us on order with a huge waiting period, about a month. And the cost of the chains is about $300 for both EcoBoosts. Oil with a viscosity of 5 watts minus 20, which has a special approval. Ford WSS M2 C948B is suitable. 1.5 Ti-VCT 122 horsepower Y2DA. We'll tell you separately about the naturally aspirated 1.5-liter engine with 122 horsepower. This is still the same 1.5-liter EcoBoost, but the timing drive still has a toothed belt, 2,272,646, which is irrigated and lubricated by engine oil. 1.5 EcoBlue 95 horsepower ZTDA, 1.5 EcoBlue 120 horsepower ZTDA, ZTDB. The 4th generation Focus offers a 1.5-liter turbodiesel. No more TDCI. EcoBlue will be written on the trunk. This engine has a light alloy cylinder block, a dry timing belt, which needs to be changed every 10 years or every 230,000 kilometers. This interval is stated for Europe. For countries with harsh operating conditions, the limit is set at 160,000 kilometers. The 1.5 EcoBlue engine does not have a urea injection system. This turbodiesel has 2 EGR circuits. The intercooler is built into the intake manifold and is cooled by antifreeze. Fuel system from Bosch. There is a short chain in the cylinder head that connects both camshafts. 2-stage oil pump. Regarding the service oil volume, before July 29, 2017, the service volume is 3.9 liters, and after, 6.2 liters. The difference is almost 30%. It is not clear what this is connected with. But this date and both volumes appear in catalogs, and are almost always marked with stickers on the inside of the hood. And this motor is again French. It is a DV5. Continuing the history of all those HDIs that appeared in the 2000s. By the way, on the valve cover, which is the upper part of the camshaft bed, you will see the letters FOMO Co and the logos of 2 French automakers. By the way, the kit with a timing belt, a pair of rollers and a pump, 2,189,258, for all these 1.5-liter diesel engines for Ford, Peugeot, Citroën, Opel and even a couple of Toyota models is exactly the same. The 1.5 EcoBlue engines, like their French counterparts 1.5 Blue HDI, initially received a weak camshaft chain. It literally tore, after which the engine received fatal damage. To solve this situation, French and, probably, German engineers remade and strengthened all the parts of the cylinder head. The improvements affected not only the chain, the width of the old one was 7 mm, and the reinforced one grew to 8 mm. The camshaft gears and even the valves were also changed. You can distinguish the old and improved engines in the following way. Remove the decorative cover and immediately in front of the injectors of the first and second cylinders, if you count from the crankshaft pulley side, you see the numbers. If the numbers are like this, 98, 126, 472, 80, then the cylinder head here is of the first type with a weird chain. If the numbers are like this, 98, 305, 800, 480, then the cylinder head is improved. What to do if the cylinder head is an old model? Everything needs to be changed to a new one. The top cover, 98, 305, 800, 480, and both camshafts, 98, 286, 555, 80 and 98, 286, 553, 80. The chain, 98, 301, 468, 80, with its tensioner, 98, 301, 472, 80, and related little things and such as plugs, 3,111, 27, and seals, 2,191,039. At current prices, repairs are such that it is almost easier to buy a contract engine or cylinder head assembly. In general, this is the moment that mars the operation of a huge number of models with a 1.5 EcoBlue or Blue HDI turbodiesel, and Focus 4 is just one of them. By the way, if you are among the viewers who changed only the chain and installed a reinforced one on old camshafts, write in the comments how this solution works. A 1.5-liter turbodiesel must be filled with oil with a viscosity of 0 watts minus 20 and a specific tolerance, for WSS M2C952A1. 2.0 EcoBlue 150 horsepower DA, 2.0 EcoBlue 190 horsepower BCDA. Focus 4 received a 2-liter EcoBlue turbodiesel, a product of Ford. There is a cast iron cylinder block, 16 valves in the cylinder head, a 2-stage oil pump, a dual-circuit EGR system. To change the oil you will need 6.4 liters, although the total volume is 7.25 liters. But Ford engineers found something weird to do. The timing belt in this engine is bathed in oil. According to the regulations, it needs to be changed once every 10 years or every 240,000 kilometers. Naturally, the engine will not last that long. There have already been cases of this belt breaking and jumping, plus it also disgustingly pollutes the oil, where products settle in the oil channels and clog the oil intake. Servicemen in Europe changed the timing belt, 2,213,376, of this wonderful turbodiesel every 90,000 kilometers, and together with the oil pump belt, 2,011,555. In addition to the list of standard consumables such as tensioner, 2,516,096, and pump, 2,527,964, the entire front cover, 2,579,731, must also be replaced, because the crankshaft oil seal is located in it. In Europe they sell a whole set, GK2Q8A615AA, of all the parts necessary to replace the timing belt in a 2-liter turbodiesel, but here we have to assemble everything separately. In general, this motor was created and intended for Tourneo and transit buses. It pulls cool and peppy, but is a bit heavy for a Focus 4. A 2.0-liter turbodiesel must be filled with oil with a viscosity of 0 watts minus 30 and a specific approval, Ford WSS M2C950A, and if the engine was manufactured after August 15, 2021, then a 5 watts minus 30 oil with a different approval is required. Ford WSS M2C913D, 6F15 6-street automatic transmission, 8F24, 8F35, 8F48 street automatic transmission. Let's talk about the automatic transmissions that the 4th generation 2-pedal Ford Focus received. We will talk about 2 transmissions of a classical hydromechanical design. Ford refused power shift. Instead of the pre-selective, Ford engineers, together with GM engineers, developed automatic machines that ZF or Aisin could make for them. And, frankly, it would be better if it happened that way. The fact is that the branded units 8F24 and 8F35 turned out to be somehow twitchy and nervous, shifting gears with kicks immediately after the car left the assembly line. For the most part, the company was able to train them to run smoothly after a few software changes, i.e. firmware update helped a little. Many people who bought 2-3-year-old Focuses from Europe note that their cars have 2021 automatic transmissions. Those transmissions were replaced under warranty. This, of course, both pleases and evokes certain thoughts. Automatic 8F24 is designed to transmit up to 240 Nm of torque, 8F35 and 8F40, up to 350 and 400 Nm. Consequently, the first option is installed with gasoline engines, and the second with diesel engines. In terms of hardware, these transmissions differ from each other. The 8F24 has 4 planetary gears inside, while the 8F35 and 8F40 have only 2. Such a transmission element as a freewheel, also known as an overrunning clutch, can be switched off in these transmissions. Moreover, the 8F24 has an electromagnetic shutdown mechanism, while the 8F35/40 has a hydraulic shutdown mechanism. Both transmissions have electric oil pumps to keep the entire unit running when the start-stop system shuts down the engine. The pumps are vane type, like in power steering pumps or like the latest engine oil pumps. In addition, the 8F24 has a variable displacement pump. Obviously, you are wondering how long these machines last. Not very long. They reach up to 200,000 kilometers, but there are many cases when problems begin at a mileage of about 120,000 kilometers and, in general, on 4-year-old Focuses. The 8F35's planetary gears easily fall apart, and before that they plan off the chips. The 8F24 transmission was subject to a recall campaign in 2020. It was the selective freewheel clutch, SOWC, that was changed. She had problems with the parking mechanism. The transmission did not lock. The car rolled in parking mode. There was also a problem, reverse gear would not engage. These problems affected mainly the Ford Escape in the North American market. Dealers fixed these problems under warranty. These transmissions are filled with Mercon ULV type oil, which has cheaper analogs. There are 2 filters inside the transmission. One is located next to the valve body, JM5Z7A098A, and the second, 24,272,927, is with the oil pump. Original filters are not detailed and are not sold separately. In general, they are replaced during major repairs. There are non-original filters. Buying them now is quite problematic. The 6-speed automatic transmission 6F15 comes only with a naturally aspirated 1.5 Ti-VCT. Its filter is inside. The reliability of this transmission is average. 6-street manual transmission 6MX65 for 1.0 EcoBoost and 1.5 Ti-VCT. 6-street manual transmission Durashift B6 Plus for 1.5 EcoBoost and 1.5 EcoBlue. 6-street manual transmission MMT6 for 2.0 EcoBlue. Ford Focus 4 is equipped with 3 different manual transmissions. Sometimes the Durashift B6 Plus transmission, which is paired with the 1.5-liter turbo engines, produces a muffled clunking and rustling sound. This is the noise from the front input shaft bearing. So far, apart from noise, nothing terrible has happened to this manual transmission. As you can imagine, the oldest 4th-generation Focus is about 5 years old. There have already been problems with automatic transmissions, and with engines too, but so far they have completely forgotten about the suspension. At the front there are McPherson struts. The original steel levers, $2,203,138, cost about $400. Silent blocks and ball joints for them are sold separately only from non-original manufacturers. Non-branded lever assemblies will cost $120-$180. The original front stabilizer struts, $2,216,271, are expensive, more than $200 for one, while analogs range from $10 to $50. The rear suspension of the Focus 4 comes in 2 types, with a torsion beam or with 3 levers on each wheel. What does this depend on? Not from the engine power, as is usually the case. It depends on the configuration, and there are at least 6 different options. For example, the Vignale will have an independent rear suspension, while the Titanium or Active X will have a beam. Although it seems that starting from the 2020 model year, the wishbone suspension was left only for 2-liter engines, and all the younger ones, without exception, received a beam. In general, Ford was not systematic in this regard. The beam has only 2 silent blocks, $2,263,175. The cost of each today is $260, and the wait is a month. The front silent block of the front independent suspension arm will cost $60, $2,050,256. There are no replacements, and you will also have to wait. Transverse arms $2,428,955 and $2,216,285, and even individual silent blocks for them will also have to be ordered, and a long wait. Likewise with wheel bearings, two 216-258 or two 197-196, 2,197,214. Original ones for $300, available to order. Replacements are found only for front bearings. The same goes for shock absorbers. In general, many parts for the Focus 4 are in short supply. We need to take this into account. About the durability of the Ford Focus interior, we can say that it does not age and does not show serious mileage. There are no special problems going on here. The multimedia system supports mirroring the smartphone screen via CarPlay or Android Auto applications. These cars are also equipped with modems, and if you insert a SIM card from a local cellular operator into them and do a little magic, you can control some of the car's functions from a smartphone using Ford's proprietary application. This all needs a little magic, but it will work. Let's move on to power units.